My name's Heather. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing. I hope you enjoy the insights here in this reading. Take what works for you. It may also apply to someone you are close to at this time. This is a general reading. If you have strong influences in your birth chart associated with another sign, please feel free to cross-watch to my other videos for further insights. I have shuffled and laid out the cards, so let's begin. I work through the 12 houses of the zodiac, and the card that appears in each house is obviously bringing in influences associated with that particular card. So now in the first house you have part of fortune, which is increase. Part of fortune is actually a very fortuitous thing to have. It actually is almost like a hidden talents or hidden forms of abundance which you perhaps haven't tapped into previously, or haven't acknowledged, or you haven't worked with. You may have known that they're there, or they may suddenly be rising to the surface now. But in any case, it's an increase of something that's been latent within you. It's also good luck, good fortune, some form of abundance coming towards you, and that it could be gifts that are placed for you along your path. Now, the first house deals with the physical body, your physical body, how you appear to others, your personality, and your appearance, and and how you project, what you're projecting outward to others, and how they are perceiving what you are projecting. So if you've got a mask, if you have a persona which you project to others, then this will cover that as well. So this being in your first house, this card is indicating that your instincts are going to be very good. You're going to be feeling quite powerful, and you're going to be able to move forward and resolve any difficulties that you may encounter. And it's also going to make you feel, quite good in yourself and your body, and you're just going to be coping and actually making progress, and you're going to be perhaps having lucky breaks as you go along. It also could mean that you're, if you're in the public eye, if you are a leader of some sort, then you're going to be coming across as quite powerful in that way, and actually quite influential. Bear this in mind. We'll return to this later, because this is going to come in to aspects which are currently indicated in your 7th house of relationships. So we'll come back to that. Then in your 2nd house you have Libra, I balance, and Libra is generally the sign of relationships and love and so on, and it's appearing in your 2nd house, which is to do with your income, your money that's coming in, your values, and your self-worth, and property, real estate, the environment. And so with Libra appearing in there, obviously it's bringing in for you to achieve balance. So you're going to be asked to achieve balance in any one of those areas, or you could be bringing balance into any one of those areas. So if it's your money that's coming in, Libra does also quite like beautiful things. So you may be wanting to purchase beautiful things, or you may be looking at beautiful things and enjoying those. But when it comes to your finances, just make sure that you're balanced, and that you are actually making headway to look at everything, and to actually come to a happy place for yourself, where you feel that you've got things covered. And if it's to do with your values, again, find balance in that. And if it's to do with self-worth, you may be requiring to exercise a fair bit of self-love. Everybody has to do that. We all have to do it. It's one of the hardest things to actually do, to show yourself love at all times, because from that everything else flourishes. If you can't show yourself love, then you can't share love with others. So this is actually really important for you at this time, taking into consideration other factors which are going on in your chart. So no matter what is going on, show yourself love, take care of yourself, look after your money, and spend time outdoors, enjoying the peace and tranquility. But also when it comes to dealing with other people to do over your money and your income, and perhaps your ownership of property and real estate and so on. Libras don't generally like conflict. They like to negotiate. They like to come to solutions. They can be very balanced in their outlook. They like to actually have a quality negotiation and for things to work out well. They don't want to have conflict and drama. It's also you may have a situation where you need to make a decision. Libras can sometimes be indecisive, so it may be indicating for you that you do need to bring that in and actually make a decision about something and move forward. These are all the elements of Libra. It's a very compassionate sign, a very balanced sign, and so bring those elements into everything that you're working on in that particular house. Then in the third house you have Leo, I will, and so this is a fire sign, and it's all about creativity, about spontaneity, and this is falling into your house of communication. So this is all types of communication, whether it's verbal, or body language, written, everything you say and everything you're projecting outwards is a form of communication. It's also to do with contracts. So if you are dealing with contracts of any kind, then just bring as much creativity into that as you possibly can. So you may need to be quite inventive and come up with unique solutions. It's also to do with what you're projecting outwards to others, and so you may just need to tap into your heart and communicate from your heart. And if this is to do with people in your close relationships, you may need to be a bit more creative and more spontaneous and bring more warmth into what you're saying. So don't be cutting, and don't go off the deep end and create drama, unnecessary drama. Harness a more creative solution when it comes to your communication, and bring more warmth in, and a bit more joy and spontaneity in there. It's a fire sign, so it's warmth. You need to bring that in, and you need to just lift things up a little bit. Taking into consideration other factors in your chart, you may be feeling a little bit restricted in certain other areas, and so you may need to just harness those abilities and bring those in. Then in your fourth house you have Mars, it's a forceful sign, it's a fiery sign, it's a get things done. It's a get things done planet, and Mars is the god of war. So now in your fourth house, this is the house of home, and it is the house of your roots and your foundation, which is put together by your ancestral heritage and also your ethnic identity. So when it comes to harnessing the best of Mars, you need to take action. You need to take action on some aspect that's coming up for you in your home, or to do with your family and your foundation that you've created for yourself. And you may need to protect your interests when it comes to your home. You may need to fight for something in your home, or you just need to fight for your home in some way. You need to be quite forceful but not aggressive. Always bear that in mind with Mars. Mars can be very warlike and aggressive. So you've got to temper that with taking action, and it's determined action. It's going to be fiery, quick action, and you're going to blaze a trail. So however that's coming up for you in your house of home, or to do with perhaps your forging a new foundation for yourself. You're basically clearing what has been there before, and you're taking action to bring about newness, and to bring about what you want, or to protect what you already have. Then we have in the fifth house, we have Neptune. Sacrifice is one of the aspects it brings in. This is a watery sign, and it's coming into your fifth house, which is your house of creativity, children, and having fun. So all kinds of recreation, sport. It can also be gambling, all these sort of it's love affairs, romance, having fun, any of those sorts of light-hearted activities. So with Neptune in there, this could cover a great many aspects actually. So when it comes to your children, you may be making sacrifices, or you have made sacrifices, or you will be required to make sacrifices of some sort. It's also maybe that your children are going through a phase of a bit of confusion, a bit of uncertainty about they're not quite sure what's going on, because Neptune can bring in, it has two sides to it. It has the beautiful, imaginative connection to the divine, very spiritual quality about it, wonderfully spiritual connection. But the other side of that is a bit of illusion or disillusionment, or perhaps not seeing things as clearly as you should. Perhaps it's just a period that will pass where you're just feeling a little bit confused. And Neptune is also can bring about feelings of escape. So you may be wanting to escape into fun activities, or into a love affair, to escape other issues that are going on. And you're just wanting to just retreat and enjoy light-hearted, fun activities, sports, some sort of distraction. But it could also be your children going through that, or they're facing some kind of situation which is confusing for them, or you may be seeing that in relationship to your children. So you're going to be dealing with that in those areas. And if it's to do with your creative projects or your creativity in general, try to harness the higher aspects of Neptune, which, as I said, is imaginative. It's beautiful, and its connections to the divine. It's a very illuminating planet to have. It's a planet of enlightenment as well, in connection with the spirit world and your spirituality and the divine. So if you are working on various creative projects, you're being asked to tap into that aspect and ground that, bring that down. As I said, it's a very watery aspect to be having, and the fifth house is actually the house of Leo, so it's normally a sun, ruled by the sun. So it's a kind of, you may just be feeling a little bit confused or a little bit unsure about something that's coming up for you in the fifth house. But endeavor always to aim for the more positive aspects of it. And if it comes to having fun, get out. Maybe you need to get out on the water. Maybe you need to be next to water, or enjoy boating, or some kind of fun activity which involves water of some sort. Then in your sixth house you have Capricorn IUs, and so your sixth house is all to do with it's basically the house of work. It's the house of your mastery of your craft, your workplace, your work colleagues, and your projects that you're working on. It's also the house of health and diet, and the house of pets. So you've got Capricorn appearing there. Capricorn is a very stable, earthy sign. It's ruled by Saturn, which is it's about hard work. Basically, you've got to put in time and effort, and you may not be seeing results immediately, because it's a slow-moving energy. It's not quick. It's not overnight. So you're going to be putting your building blocks in one at a time, and making a firm structure, or creating a structure, or a very good foundation. Capricorns are masters of construction, of building things, whether it's a business or some kind of project. And they go about it, they set their goal and they go for it with great determination and resourcefulness. So you need to bring those elements into the sixth house. And they also are very good at using their contacts. So you may be coming across contacts who are going to help you, or going to give you good direction in how to move forward. So it's almost like social contacts. It's also work contacts, just really good, solid leads and people that are going to assist you, or just drop pearls of wisdom in your lap. And so be aware of that, obviously, that you handle that with integrity. You don't use these people to further yourself. What you do is you harness what they're giving you, and then you use that to move forward. And so you may be bringing those elements in. If it's to do with your health, if a health and diet is coming up, you may need to examine, have a good look at your skeletal structure and your possibly your tendons and your connective tissue are taking a bit of strain, or your skeletal structure. So it's things like visiting chiropractors, taking vitamin D and calcium, magnesium, all of those. And also it may also be dental issues coming in. So Saturn, which rules Capricorn, rules the strong structures of the body. So you may be required to just boost that, because if you're going through stresses and strains, then the body takes strain. It really does. So any dental issues indicates very old, deep-seated subconscious issues which are now rising to the surface to be dealt with. So you may be you may be dealing with that as well. Then in the seventh house, you have the Yod, which is a destiny card. In fact, you have fate and destiny in your first house, and you have it in your seventh house. Your first house is about you, and how you're moving forward in your life, how you want to move forward in your life. And the seventh house is all to do with partnerships, your relationships, your close one-on-one relationships. So how you are in yourself affects how you are in a relationship. And you've got fate cards, destiny cards in both of those. Now, the Yod, the destiny card, this appearing in your seventh house is going to bring about some restriction and stress. It could be quite severe, or it could just be something that you have to deal with. So there's some issue which you're grappling with in your seventh house. So this is your one-on-one relationships, your personal love relationships, or very close, your very close relationships that the ones that are really close to you, that you're dealing with on a personal basis. It can also be business relationships. So so with this card, you're going to be asked to forge your own path. You may not have support. In fact, you probably won't have support. You're not going to get good advice and support from others. You're basically going to have to you're going to have to go inward, do a lot of self-reflection, and find your own truth, and forge your own path, make your own way forward, with some determination as well. So whatever the situation is that you're grappling with in your relationships, it's something that is going to make you feel a lot of stress and strain, and it won't be solved immediately, but also how you are moving forward in yourself personally is going to influence that. So now with the first house card, it's a form of good luck. It's a form of feeling powerful, solving conflicts, and like abundance, and using hidden talents as well, and forging forward and being influential. So you're going to need every bit of that to deal with this issue. And so you're going to generally feel that you may have to make a few sacrifices in your relationships. You may have to have a really deep self-examination and work out for yourself what is your right path. You may have to make a choice as well here. But I feel you're going to handle it really well, because you've got this sign in your first house, which is all about yourself. So how you are in yourself and how you're projecting outwards is going to influence the outcome of this situation. So after the self-examination and reflection, then I feel you will be able to move forward and you'll be able to deal with these issues. You will have pulled out your truth. You will have pulled out what resonates for you, what feels right for you in this situation, and the way you communicate about it is going to be very important as well. This is, bringing in that warmth, bringing in that creativity and spontaneity, and then balancing your finances as well. You're going to be, you need to be feeling in a good place in order to deal with this issue which is coming up. Then moving on from that into the 8th house. This is the South Node. It's to do with the past and dealing with past debts, if it's past life, but it can also be just putting the past to bed. So now this house is intimately connected with this house because it deals with resources between partners. It also deals with sex, death, and rebirth. So it's could be symbolic death and rebirth, or one door closing and another one opening. And it's also to do with big finance. So this is investments. This is to do with tax, inheritance, insurances, banking, accounting, other people's money. So if you are managing other people's money, if you're in a business and you're managing other people's money, if you're in a partnership and you're managing somebody else's money or other people's money, then how you have been operating is going to change quite dramatically, and you're going to have to move forward on a different path. You may lose certain things, but out of that will come better things. And if it's to do with a relationship, a personal one-on-one relationship, or a close personal relationship, there has been perhaps a death of some sort, and a new beginning is going to come out of that. But it's to do with putting the past behind you, closing the door on that. So reconciling yourself with the past, with past things that just didn't work for you. And if it's to do with perhaps it's at the end of a relationship and there's a divorce involved, or just the ending of a close personal relationship which was right for you at a period of time. Now it's no longer. You're now moving on from that. And it could also have been possibly the death of somebody, and now you're having to deal with the outcome of that. And it's all to do with the financial issues around that. But it's also to do with past life issues, if you are into that. It's basically to move forward in your life. You have to, yes, reflect on the past, but you have to close the door on that and move forward and focus on the future. Because you can't take, it's like baggage. This is baggage from the past. You can't take that with you. And, it may have suited you in the past, it may have been applicable. It's now no longer applicable. You've kind of outgrown that. You're becoming somebody else, or you are changing the way you are doing things. You're changing the way you are relating to those big monetary issues. You're changing the way that you handle finance and resources in a committed relationship. So if there isn't an ending happening, then it's the ending of the way you have been doing things, and now it's a new path that you are moving forward. If it is a divorce that is coming about, then it's the restructuring of all of those very important factors and moving forward. So the way you have been doing things in the past is now no longer. A door is closing and a new one is opening, and it's going to be a much better door. It's a much better place to be going, because you will have dealt with an enormous amount of issues here, and you will be able to move forward. Then in the 9th house, we have Gemini, I think. The 9th house is all to do with the law. So if there's a legal issue coming up, you're going to be asked to be thinking on your feet. You're going to have to think quickly, and you're going to have to be handling a great many communicative issues almost at once, or at the same time, or one after the other. And the 9th house also, apart from the law, it also deals with publishing, doing promotional work, teaching, and philosophy, religion, and your belief systems. And it's also about international travel and dealing with anything foreign. So import, export, or perhaps dealing with people that don't live in the same country as yourself. So Gemini is a very curious sign. It's a very quick, it's ruled by Mercury, very quick thinking, think on your feet. It's very curious about everything that's going on. It gets bored easily. So they like lots of stimulation. They like the media. They like to be busy with lots of different things. There's not a lot of depth there. They're exceptionally clever. They can be very quick at handling multiple things, multitasking, and so on. So you may be asked to bring that into any one of those aspects of the ninth house. If you are going on a trip, sort of a long distance journey, then you're going to enjoy socializing and light-hearted, fun activities, and be very curious about everything that's going on. So it's quick changes, boring history tours are not going to be your thing. If it's to do with being, doing promotional work, you may, or publishing, or also further education. It's also about, for instance, undertaking a university education or learning something else. You're going to have to use your mental faculties and actually be multitasking quite a lot. But you're also going to be asked to you may have to tackle newer, more advanced technology. So whether it's aspects of the internet perhaps you haven't used before, or social media, or something of that nature, which it's more advanced than what you have been currently using. It could even be a more advanced camera if you're going on an overseas trip. So it's more advanced tech or more advanced electronics in order to harness the best of that within all those different fields of. It's also adventure, it's travel, anything foreign, further education, philosophy, religion, belief systems, teaching, publishing, promotional work. So you may need to harness a bit of tech there. Then in the 10th house, you have Mercury retrograde. This is reinvention. This is the house of career. It's the house of public status, fame, and your reputation. This is Mercury retrograde is about, yes, it's about reinvention, but it's also about looking at something that you've looked at before, or that you've done before, or it could be meeting people that you've known from before. So it's something from the past comes back again, and you're going to look at it again. So it could be a change of career to something that you did before, or it could be a reinvention of some sort, a reinvention of how you were before in a career. So it's anything with a re in front of it. So reassessment, reinvention, also release. You may need to release something that perhaps hasn't worked, and now you've got to release that and start again. You're taking the bare bones of it, but you've got to start again. Or it could be just a relook, a revision of something. This is not a good time, actually, to be changing, necessarily to be changing careers or signing major contracts to do with your career, or any kind of, change of reputation or status. It's not a great time to be signing anything right at the moment. Mercury retrograde normally lasts about 3 weeks, and it happens about 3 times a year. So this is probably going to be, as I said, be covering you for 2 to 3 weeks period. But if you are having to look at paperwork or to be actually signing something, go over it with a really fine-tooth comb, and perhaps ask a trusted person to look at it as well. Because you may, if you can delay it, then delay it. Because it's going to be better for you. Because what may occur is that something may change during the course of the workings out, and now what you started out thinking is going to happen doesn't actually happen, or it doesn't come about at all. So Mercury retrograde is all about looking at something again, pausing, and then waiting for the go-ahead, waiting for a better time in actual fact. But that pause and reflection and that reinvention, or that revision, is necessary, because you will pick up perhaps mistakes or errors or things that are just not going to work, or somebody will change their mind, So So that is it's an important aspect. There's also, again, Mercury, anything electronic and technical is going to come in. It's not a good time to be getting involved in massive technical upgrades and so on, simply because they won't work, or they won't work efficiently, or they will have glitches, which will resolve themselves later on. But during that initial struggle, it will just seem like things are just not working, basically. So, but if you're not involved in any of that, or that's not applying to you, then it's basically yourself in your chosen field or your public status. You're going through a reinvention. So you may be changing your status from being, for instance, married to divorced, or you may be going from being an employee to a business owner. Now, so there's lots of different ways of looking at that. It's a reinvention of your status. It also deals with authority figures. So this could be, if you have bosses that you're dealing with, there may be some changes going on there, or somebody may appear to be undergoing some sort of change. Things may come right later, or that they will undergo some kind of revision. So yeah, it's everything to do with that. Then in the 11th house, we have Uranus, which is genius. This is to do with your hobbies, your interests, and your friendships, and your networks, and your groups that you're members of. And this may tie in with the career, in fact, as well. So Uranus is quick and sudden change, lightning bolts, actually. And initially, there may be a lot of confusion and upheaval. That's what Uranus does. It causes incredible upheaval. And then out of that comes the better way of doing things. But it is really disruptive, and it can also be erratic circumstances going on. So if it's to do with your networks and your groups that you're a member of, you may find that there's erratic energy going on there, or erratic opinions, or there may be people coming in who have very advanced opinions about how things should be done, and revolutionary, actually, and they will bring a form of genius in with them, or you may be asked to apply your Uranian abilities in this instance, and dig out the genius level in you and apply it to those particular areas. It's also, again, this is a futuristic tech, very advanced tech of all kinds. So even if you're only used to using a cell phone, an ordinary cell phone, now you're going to a smartphone, or you may be upgrading how you're operating your networks and your groups. You may be using more advanced social media than what you're used to. And it will be quick and swift, and you will have to master it, and you'll be asked to master it, and you will need to master it in order to get the best out of your career and various other elements in your chart. This also covers friendships, so you may be making other friends who are Uranian in nature. Uranus rules Aquarius, so the person may be quite eccentric. They may be have visionary ideas. And they can be incredibly stimulating as well. Or it could be that just you're having to bring elements of change into your friendships. You may also have abrupt changes in friendships. So in other words, you'll have, because if there's something going on in your relationships and the way you are projecting yourself, how you are projecting yourself, there's going to be changes. There's going to be shifts across the scale there. So friendships are going to change. In other words, the friendships that were attached to you as you were before, how you were appearing before, or the way you were in relationships before, the friends that were attached to you as you were like in the past may fall away, because they now can't relate to you the way you are appearing now, the way you are coming across now. And they just can't, they're not aligned with you anymore. This is happening to a great many people across the world in all spheres. So don't be alarmed by that. The ones that are staying with you and are in the river with you and in the flow of life, those are the ones that you need to stick with. The ones that fall away, or abruptly disappear out of your life, or simply drop away, or there's some kind of scuffle and they're gone, like a disagreement or some kind of situation arises and they move off, let them go. Just let them go, because they're not aligned with you any longer, and you've reached a point where you're going in a different direction to what they are, and it's not appropriate for you to be with them anymore. So this may come about as a result of relationship changes, and with that, once you let go of them, and this also applies to networks and groups, any groups you're a member of, or it could be a book group, a book club, any kind of club. Once you're presenting yourself differently, or you're coming across differently, or you have new ideas, some people just can't resonate with that, so they will fall away. And some things may not suit you anymore. Some groups and networks that you've been happily associating with before will fall away because of the changes that have gone on within you. So, so this can be very quick upheaval, and it will be sudden. So expect changes in all of those areas, but it's important to embrace it and move forward, because from that, once they've moved off, then new friends and new people and new groups and new clubs and new associates from your networks can come in, bring in other aspects now which you need to harness in your life. So it's almost like when the student is ready, the teacher appears. It's the same thing with your social situation. Once you've moved past a particular social situation, you've outgrown it, it no longer suits you, and you start looking, you need to grow and you need to start looking for something else, then the next lot appear. But you can't bring them in unless the others go, the ones that are no longer aligning with you. Once they go, then the others will come forward. Then in the 12th house, you have the earth element, which is stability. The 12th house, on a subconscious level, it's all your unconscious drives, your spiritual life, your deep spiritual life. It's all about meditation, retreat, withdrawal, and seclusion, anything like that. It's also about healing. And so resolutions and endings. So it can be sometimes the end of life and the beginning of another. So it can also be karmic issues that you're dealing with. On a more practical level, it can be drugs and addictions and escapism of all kinds. So with the earth element appearing in there, this is it's bringing instability. You're going to it's either going to be coming into you to steady yourself when it comes to your beliefs and perhaps your spirituality. So it's either going to come in for you and it's going to be balancing you there and grounding you, which is important. You need to be grounded, especially with everything else that's going on, or you're being asked to bring that in. So it can also be just going on a retreat or withdrawal, or spending lots of time in nature, because this is an earthy element. So this is time in nature, whether it's hiking, walking, spending time, perhaps a game park where there's nature and animals and so on. But it's a good, solid retreat or withdrawal, because with that you will be able to pull out that peace and that tranquility and that stability. You'll be able to harness it, and it will give you relief, a sort of a stable place to just rest and heal. Or it could be that you're needing to bring that stabilizing influence in to your spiritual life, or to perhaps if you're grappling with unconscious issues, subconscious issues that you need to deal with. Sometimes they could be rising to the surface, and you just need to understand them and deal with them. But it's a solid foundation that you need to bring in. So cut out any confusion and drama, and just go back to basics. And also putting your fingers in the soil. If you're a gardener, wonderful thing to be doing. So it's just harnessing this stable, balanced, and harmonious environment for yourself. And you may also be visiting various types of institutions, and you're being asked to maintain a stable and balanced outlook. Don't be too stubborn, or don't be afraid or very cutting towards others who have a change or a different point of view, because the earth element can be quite stubborn about their points of view or changing anything. So you may be required to change something, or you've done too much changing. Now you're being required to bring balance in and stability. Institutions of all kind can be hospitals, it can be prisons, it can be government departments, banks, libraries, learning institutions like universities and so on. So always be working towards to balance your views and your outlook, and just stay harmonious, spend time in nature, ground yourself, really ground yourself, and keep your feet on the ground. All right, Libra, I hope you have a wonderful month, and I will see you next time. Take care.